A fellow named John Anderson, a country music singer, a Florida native, one of his biggest songs was Swingin'. Here on the Y'all Show, as we begin a new episode with your host, Jon Rawl, we're going to do something we've never done. We're going to go swinging. We're going to go on a spring swing of the South for a couple of weeks, and we're going to do it virtually. This darn coronavirus has everybody locked inside. They're ready to get out and see the great outdoors of the South. They're ready to go to destinations they're either familiar with or maybe go off to new places they've only dreamt about. Well, here on today's Y'all Show, we have our first spring swing destination. It's Crystal River, Florida, and we have the director of Discover Crystal River on with us here in our first segment. His name is John Pricher. He's going to be on here today in our opening segment. He's going to also come back as we wrap up today's Y'all Show to talk about his little special spot in Florida. And John's helped us big time. We've got some guests coming up here. Without further ado, everybody, we've got back to the Y'all Show, the director of Discover Crystal River, John Pricher, join us right now on the Y'all Show. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Well, we are good, John. Thank you for setting this up, as you are our first stop on our y'all.com spring swing tour of the South. Congratulations.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad we get to hit in the leadoff spot of this thing here in Florida.
Look at you with your little baseball.
Yeah, I'm definitely missing that significantly. So any chance to work that into a conversation is a win.
Yeah. Well, here on the Y'all Show, John, we're going to have fun discussing the South with you, and we'll also have a very good conversation about your properties there. We've got a really neat place, plantation on Crystal River. Michael Mankey is going to be coming on in a few minutes to talk about that here in hour one. And then we're going to go, one of the things that Crystal River, Florida is known for is that beautiful water. Hey, how else do you think they got the name Crystal River, right? Well, Dave Perry is going to be coming on in hour two, and he is with Hunter Springs Kayak. And they have so many great options for y'all to go out and enjoy while you're in Citrus County, Florida. So, John, we've got a lot of great guests, again, all part of our spotlight on Crystal River, Florida. Now, first off, let's talk about where you're located. For those who may not be all that familiar with Crystal River, where you're located, what's the easiest way to get there?
Okay, so we're right on the Gulf Coast, about an hour and 10 minutes north of Tampa on the expressway, about an hour and a half from Orlando. We're just north of where all the beaches are, so we're mostly rustic coastline, fishing, kayaking, paddling, manatees, of course, and then coming into the summer, scallops will be our big crop, provided we're able to get out and about.
Yeah, and let's not discount this, John. When you talk about manatees, y'all have something there that no other place on earth has.
Absolutely. The manatees are our our bread and butter, so to speak. They're our winter visitors for the most part, from November to March. We've got some residents that stay all year because they like it. They've done a great project where they've increased the eelgrass. The Save Crystal River folks have. It's a huge project. It's taken off tremendously. So we're seeing more. I refer to them as resident manatees staying around longer because the food's better and it's easier for them. So, but November to March is our banner season, and the big thing that you can do here is you can actually get in the water and swim with them, and that's something that's pretty unique and for sure a bucket list item.
John, your office there, Discover Crystal River, has just released several videos, little 30-second commercials about where you're located there in the Sunshine State. And if you don't mind, y'all did such a good job putting these out there, we'll just let them speak for themselves because we love seeing you, John. And
yes,
some people put up with seeing me, but everybody can agree that where you're located in Florida is a beautiful place. So let's go now discover Crystal River.
Come dive into the manatee capital of the world. Here in Crystal River, Florida, where water activities, fun adventures, and the famous Three Sisters Springs are waiting for you. along with miles of trails and amazing birds at the Crystal River Preserve State Park. When you come to Crystal River, bring your appetite because we have it all. From fish to fork cuisine to riverside bars and restaurants meant for celebrating the good life. Come discover world-renowned Crystal River and you'll step into awesome.
And the applause. Excellent job there on that 30-second spot there. Showcasing Discover Crystal River, about an hour north of Tampa, Florida, not all that far from the Gulf Coast. Does your county, Citrus County, actually border the Gulf of Mexico?
Yes, yeah, we sit right on the Gulf. So one of the interesting things is it's very shallow here, so that you're able to, when you're if you're out fishing, you can catch lots of different species in really shallower water than you might know. There's redfish, snook, there's grouper. So it's quite it's something a little special because of all the different species between the freshwater and the saltwater right there. That's all accessed it.
Yeah, so aquatic life, certainly when you go to Crystal River, Florida, you've got all kinds of options there. And we're going to even stress that more with our next guest in the next, later in the hour. Michael Mankey's coming on from Plantation on Crystal River. And then big time in hour 2 when Dave Perry of Hunter Springs Kayaks is going to be our special guest. And then John's going to be back as we kind of wrap up today's Y'all Show with our spring swing tour of Crystal River, Florida. So we know all about the good water activities you have there, and we'll learn more as we go. I saw there in that little clip, John, I'm not sure if y'all will let me come down there. Looks like y'all have got some fantastic dining options.
Absolutely. It's there, if you want it fresh off the boat in terms of seafood, this is a great spot. I mean, it is, that's what we're known for. I mean, there's from fine dining, like Catch 22, then there's something that's really unique. There's the freezer, which was part of a fish packing plant at one time, and they have amazing smoked fish dip and peel and eat shrimp right there. It's cash only, but thankfully they got an ATM as you walk in, of course. But
that's Southern right there, cash only.
Right,
place.
it is delicious. And then we have one of our restaurateurs is from New Orleans or in Louisiana, and so it's a nice mix between fresh fish and Cajun cooking at the seafood cellar. So it's as you can tell, seafood is the main ingredient in most of our restaurants.
One of the other communities within Citrus County, Florida, in addition to Crystal River, is HOMOSASSA Springs, and y'all also put out a good video of HOMOSASSA, and I'm going to play that for you now. Anything we should know about HOMOSASSA before this plays, sir?
Yeah, HOMOSASSA, you have many of the same opportunities that you do in Crystal River. It's just a different way to get to the Gulf, but that is one of the prime scalloping locations right there just outside of HOMOSASSA.
Okay. And again, I called springs there. It looks like all your inland water seems to be spring fed, thus the reason that Crystal River and that area of Citrus County has such beautiful water, unless y'all got people like you out there cleaning it every day.
No, I've got I don't have that opportunity, thankfully, but the eelgrass does the work, the high magnitude springs, and that's also why the manatees are so plentiful here in the winter, because they're coming to that constant temperature. When the Gulf water gets so cold, they come in and hang out and frolic about.
They're smart animals for sure. All right,
yes,
let's go find out more about Citrus County, Florida's own HOMOSASSA.
Few places can match the feeling of the Florida Gulf Coast better than the original fishing town of HOMOSASSA in Citrus County, where fresh seafood meets exhilarating water activities and where scallop season is a tradition. And the HOMOSASSA Springs Wildlife State Park lets you get up close with manatees, meet the wildlife, and get to know them in their natural environment. Step into awesome here in HOMOSASSA, and you'll step into the soul of Florida.
And again, that was HOMOSASSA in Florida in Citrus County. We're having our spring swing tour today of Crystal River, Florida. John Rawl, joined by John Pricher, the director of Discover Crystal River. And when we look there, John, at HOMOSASSA, two things stuck out to me. I love the airboat option there. I want to know how frequent, how available that is there in the area. And then, do you have Florida Panthers, not the hockey team, but actual Florida Panthers there in your spot of Florida?
Yeah, the airboat tours are open year round, and it's really something. I think one of the unique things they've done recently is with the everybody being safe at home and everything. They've one of the local captains actually did a wedding on his airboat. He just had the bride and groom, and their day was, they wanted to make sure they didn't want to miss their day, so captain of the airboat did a wedding right there. So I think everybody here is looking forward to helping everybody have a great experience. But that's just kind of a little side bit. Not everybody has to get married if they get on the airboat.
DiscoverCrystalRiver.com is the website for John. And John, when people go there, they will be able to learn more about the activities that you have there, lodging options. And just when you tell people where you're located, I assume you're going to tell me, John, that Crystal River, Florida is an affordable location for the entire family to come visit Florida.
Absolutely. It's you'll hear more about the Plantation, which is a full service resort. We've got a little bit for everybody. Like I keep talking about the scalloping there as we're getting closer to the summer. That's a big thing for us where families come in for the week. Scalloping can be done by anybody. I mentioned earlier about how shallow the water is. It's not like lobsters where those things are running away from you. I mean, the scallops are basically laying on the floor of the seagrass, and it's kind of like an Easter egg hunt. But any age group can do it, and it's super family friendly and affordable because once you catch it, then you can take it to one of our restaurants and they'll cook it up for you.
Continuing our conversation again with John Pricher, Discover Crystal River, Florida. If you've got a question for John or want to learn more about this wonderful place of the Sunshine State, feel free. If you're watching us right now on our Facebook Live feed, fire away with a comment. John's going to stick around. He'll be on with us again in hour 2 to tie the loose ends up here as our spring swing tour of the South is kicking off here with Crystal River, Florida. And I've always wanted to come there, John, because I'm a little partial to manatees and I like clear water too. But especially now that 99% of Americans have been cooped inside for a month and we're ready to go off somewhere, you're just killing me with these visuals with the manatees and the food and more. So, man, I'm just going to come wait on the border of Florida ready for Governor DeSantis to give the green light for us to come on down to Citrus County.
Well, we hope you bring all your friends because that's we're everybody here is itching for folks to come back. And one of the things that we have with our product, with it being so outdoors and everything, it's perfect for as people continue to do that social distancing. When you go scalloping, it's with your family and there's maybe 6 people on the boat, so you're covered there. If you're kayaking, you're certainly only one person to maybe 2 to a kayak. So on top of that, I'm just looking outside the window today. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's summertime is beautiful. When you get hot, you roll over and you cool off in the spring water and you start over again.
John Pricher again of Discover Crystal River. He's on with us right now. This is the Y'all Show, and we'll get those questions coming in. And one thing I know people are going to want to know with that beautiful shirt you're wearing right there, Go Gators, you're not all that far from Gainesville. So assuming the Florida Gators are going to have a football season, perhaps Crystal River, Florida is a good place for you to come set up your accommodations and then truck on over to Gainesville to see maybe your team win, lose. It doesn't matter. You're going to win regardless if you go to Crystal River. Am I right on that, Mr. Gator?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's any kind of activity, any kind of sporting activity, like you said, win or lose is be welcome. But yeah, it's about an hour and 15 minutes from here to Gainesville through some beautiful countryside. And it's certainly a lot more affordable on game day weekend to stay here with us than it is to try to wedge into somewhere in Gainesville. We're paying top dollar.
Yeah, and they don't have those beautiful manatees. I don't think they're in Gainesville.
Nope, you do not have a West Coast sunset on your Friday evening either in Gainesville.
Yeah, likely with all the students there and the craziness that goes on game weekend, you may not even get a good night's sleep in Gainesville, Florida on a wild weekend. But that's why you need to go to discovercrystalriver.com and set up your own plan to head south and check out everybody there with John Pricher, Discover Crystal River. And don't forget, John's going to step away for a little while. John, go check out on the check up on the manatees. We'll have you back in hour 2. And when we come back here after this break, we're going to switch over, do a little news. We've got to cover some of the headlines going on across the Southeast, coronavirus and all. By the way, John, hopefully you and yours have done okay with the virus.
Yep.
Okay, good. That's what we want to hear. We'll have headlines from across the South, and then before the hour is up, we are going to have a guest coming to us via the plantation on Crystal River, Michael Mankey. He's the general manager of that tremendous property. He's going to be right here on the Y'all Show to give us a good idea of what that is all about. Hour 2, we'll start it off with a little sports news. Then, by the way, we'll have some SEC news for you there, John. We'll have also in hour 2 of today's Y'all Show, we're going to have, courtesy of Hunter Springs Kayaks, the owner of that, Dave Perry, is going to be dropping by and talking about how you can get out in this kayak and go on some great tours of the tributaries around Crystal River, Florida. Then John Pricher will be back on as we wrap up this spotlight of Crystal River, Florida. All right here on our Spring Swing. I told you, John Anderson, Florida boy, would be quite proud of us here. All that right here on the Y'all Show. Talk with a Southern accent. Stay where you are. Okay, Facebook friends, that was our opening for the show, and then we're going to just pretend that we are moving on to hour 2, and we'll continue on with our discussion to wrap up our conversation with John Pricher of Discover Crystal River. And we're getting some reaction to our feed, so we're excited about that. Hello, Miss Ingrid, who puts on tours all over the world, and hopefully she has gone to Discover Crystal River with her many, many tours. Probably has, knowing her. She's probably been there a couple hundred times if I had to guess. Carolina Tours. Check them out, everybody. All right, back to our conversation with John Pricher. Here we go on our Spring Swing. Y'all.com is the website address. Y'all, the ultimate guide to the South. I'm Jon Rawl, and this, as we begin this segment, is our Spring Swing tour of the Southeast, and we're joined here as we wrap up this hour 2 of the Y'all Show. John Pricher of Discover Crystal River is on with us, and this spot located in the about an hour north of Tampa, right on the Gulf Coast. A wonderful spot. John was on with us in hour 1, gave us a little bit of a setup of what all the fun there at Crystal River. Want to thank again, hour 1, we had Michael Mankey of the plantation on Crystal River. He was on to discuss all the amenities there at his property in Crystal River, Florida. And then just before John is on with us now, want to go kayaking? Well, right here in Crystal River, Florida is part of our virtual tour. Don't forget about Hunter Springs Kayaks and Dave Perry, who was on with us and had a good conversation about all the many fun things you can do out on the waters of Crystal River, Florida. So, John, as we wrap up with you, again, thank you for setting this up for us. Let's stress again how convenient and how affordable it is for people to come to where you are, Discover Crystal River, Florida.
Well, I think certainly what we offer, that ability with the families and everything to reconnect. It is a very peaceful and rural community. I think it has a lot of that beach vibe because we're right on the water, with fishing being such a big fishing and just generally out on the water all the time is a big part of it. So yeah, I think it is very, very affordable as opposed to the attractions in Orlando and some of the other larger communities, and you have just the same opportunity and the even better experience, as it's a much quieter pace of life around here. So I think it's something that's definitely should be looked at for everybody, especially when they open the gates again for us to be driving around the state and visiting places. I would certainly want us to be top of the list.
Ready to open those gates and ready to open them wide. John, I've got to ask, you just mentioned the beach, and I'm sorry, I'm one of those people, unfortunately, I don't live in Florida, and I don't live within an easy drive of a beach, sadly. One of those days I'll try to change that. When you come to Citrus County, Florida, where Crystal River is located, your beach options aren't exactly the world's greatest. So tell me what you do have. And then the beauty of this is within about an hour and a half's drive, you can be at the #1 beach in the entire country, and that's around Clearwater. So tell us what you got from a beach standpoint, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this part of Florida, going from here all the way up to Apalachicola through the big, what we call the Big Bend of Florida. It's the mangrove swamp. It's very rustic, but it does so that's why I say mostly it's boating and kayaking and paddle boards, just swimming in the springs on their own. I think that's the biggest draw in the summer is really, I mean, pontoon boats by the droves. Because the water is so shallow, it makes it great for tying up and spending the afternoon with friends, and the water is a very cool 72, a little bit more during the summer. So when it's roasting in the sun, you can cool off quickly and then start the process again.
That again is Discover Crystal River's director, John Pricher, here with us on today's Y'all Show. And you have more than just the water and the golf and the food around there. You have history as well. In fact, John, we got to talk about Inverness, which is your county seat, right?
Yep. And there's a story about that where they basically stole the county seat long ago from a smaller community and set up in Inverness, and it's been the county seat ever since. One of the things that's probably little known that's out there is that we had our own Elvis experience back in the 60s. In 1961, he filmed a movie here called Follow That Dream, which happened in Inverness at the courthouse, and Yankeetown, which is right at the northern part of the county. And it's been a big thing.
You got a place called Yankeetown?
It is confusing, isn't it? this far south that we're gonna.
I thought that was around Miami. I thought all of Miami was called Miami, Yankeetown.
Yeah, I think there's a fair that's a fair assessment of the population, as most of them are from elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that Elvis movie. Let's, John, as we did in hour one, y'all put out some great videos there at Discover Crystal River, and let's go learn a little bit more about your county seat, Inverness, and this great production done by the staff at Discover Crystal River.
When you roll into Inverness, you'll discover one of Florida's longest cycling trails, known as the WITHLACOOCHEE State Trail, with natural beauty on all sides. Then, ride into historic Floral City, home of the legendary Avenue of the Oaks, one of the most spectacular canopied roads. Come escape to Florida's most beautiful lake country, where relaxation is a way of life. Here in the soul of Florida, experience history at the Old Courthouse Heritage Museum in the heart of downtown Inverness, where you'll find exciting events and a lively community year-round. Plus, take a trip back in time to FERRIS Grove's Market in Floral City, world famous for citrus and award-winning strawberry pie. This is truly Florida's undiscovered road trip and an outdoor enthusiast's dream come true. Come visit breathtaking Inverness and Floral City, where you'll reel in amazing experiences.
Another fantastic video, courtesy of Discover Crystal River, Florida. We're wrapping up our conversation with John Pricher, director of Discover Crystal River. And John, I guess y'all had a good time at one point in your county's history coming up with some of the names around there. We already talked about HOMOSASSA. You're going to have to help me with the new one there I saw there in that video. WITHLACOOCHEE?
The WITHLACOOCHEE, it's a river and also a state park. It's one of the Rails to Trails program, so it's 46 miles, so it runs all the way through our county and into the neighborings in Marion and Hernando.
Okay.
But it is and it runs right through the heart of Inverness. So when you're on the trail, you know you've got a destination where you can get food and drink and ready to get back and make that return ride. But it is beautifully wood-lined and peaceful, and it's a gorgeous park.
And we saw in that video also the courthouse there in Inverness, and that again part of an Elvis movie, and they've got that museum in there, I think, of some type.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So,
yep. So there was a little nugget in there about going back to my Gator heritage. At every fourth quarter now they sing "Won't Back Down" by Tom Petty, but a young Tom Petty showed up on the on the movie set because his uncle was working on there and met Elvis in 1961. And so legend has it that he traded his slingshot for a bunch of Elvis records. And as the way they say, the rest is history.
How about that? Tom Petty and an Elvis connection, only because of Inverness, Florida. How about that? See, we learn something every day right here on the show that's all about the South as we, again, want to remind people to go to John's website, Discover Crystal River. John, when people go there, I assume you've got all the connections they need to have for lodging and attractions and more.
Absolutely. We're things to see, do, place to stay, place to eat, places where they'll cook your catch, whether it's fish or scallops. We've got a number of restaurants you bring it, they'll grill it up for you, and which is kind of makes that whole day, closes the loop on that day. Is you did the work and somebody else cooks it up for you.
Yeah. Now, one thing we didn't talk about, John, and we would really be doing us a disservice if we didn't bring this subject up, something I know near and dear to you, I'm sure, shopping. What you got there, shopping-wise?
Shaman, we've got some on Citrus Avenue. There's a Heritage Village, which has got some really. Look, I like to window shop. I like to browse, and
I was kind of kidding there, John, but go ahead.
No, it's true. But there's great souvenirs and just manatee themes and really some neat knickknacks and things. And there's a couple of art galleries right there. So that's our best shopping area. It's in downtown Crystal River on the north part of Citrus Avenue called the Heritage Village, and it's those couple of blocks right there. It's a nice afternoon. You get a cup of coffee, a cattle dog, and wander about. Have a good day.
One question that did come in we want to ask you about, John, is coming to your spot there, Crystal River, Florida, is that something that is recommended year-round, or are you more of a warm weather destination?
Oh, no, it's year-round. But like we were talking about earlier with the manatees are here during the winter, and it's Florida winter, so it's not.
What's the temperature there in February?
February, it ranges. It could be, it could be 75, could be 55, but it is definitely.
Give me the low.
The lows are probably 50s as the highest, and it gets down into the 30s at night, and but not for long.
Do you have a jacket? Is what we're really asking.
Yeah, I do. I have a jacket. I have one really heavy jacket that I bought that I've worn once.
Okay. Well, that's helping out. Yes. To answer the question, Discover Crystal River, it's open 24/7, except for right now. We're going to change that real quick. But as soon as the light is on and you can get back down to Crystal River and Citrus County, Florida, John Pricher and his staff there at Discover Crystal River, they've got open arms. Let me see you. Open arms. You're ready for them. Yeah, there you go.
Ready. I can't wait.
And you're going to maybe you'll even give them a big hug, right?
That's right. They may get the more than the red carpet attention when the gates finally open.
John, I'll give you the floor. Make your best pitch on why we need to come to Discover Crystal River, and then we'll get out of here.
I would say that this is the place where you can get out there in nature in beautiful Florida, have your family and friends, and just explore something that you don't get to see every day. And like year round, there's manatees, and then you get the chance to scallop in the summer. It's definitely affordable. And if you feel that you need to go see the thing that Florida is known for down on the beach, you're only an hour and a half down to St. Pete and Clearwater area, and then you can come back and stay with us and get out of the hustle and bustle.
I was going to mention that. I think one thing you're pretty much guaranteed to have there in Discover Crystal River and in Citrus County, no traffic jams.
That's right. It is definitely not an urban area, so you can count on being able to get where you want to go without much hassle.
John, thank you again for coming on our show. Thank you for also helping us land our interviews with Dave Perry of Hunter Springs Kayaks and Michael Mankey, the general manager at Plantation on Crystal River. It has been an absolute ball featuring Crystal River, Florida as our first y'all.com spring swing destination for 2020. Thank you again for your help.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate your opportunity, dearly. Thanks.
All right, you're welcome, and best of luck when everything gets back up and going. Well, that will wrap up our Y'all Show today. Again, it's been a pleasure being virtually in Crystal River, Florida, and we'll do it again. We've got some great spots lining up right now in South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, as well as Georgia. Can't wait to share all that and more states to come. We'll have it all right here on y'all.com and on y'all.com on Facebook. Thanks again for listening and watching. We'll be back here on Friday to wrap up the week with a whole lot of fun on this, the show that's all about the South. Jon Rawl, thank you for being a part of the Y'all Show.